Hello and welcome to It Settled with Stefanie L. I'm really excited today because I have one of my good friends and one of the very first people I ever hired, Kenzie Lowegard. So, hey Kenzie, you want to say hi?
Hi, I'm so excited to be on here. This is just such a cool thing that you're doing. I love it.
Well, I kind of feel like we had so many super busy months back to back
Oh, yeah.
because mortgage and real estate like from 2020 to 2022 there at the end we were just working nonstop. I feel like I
hmm
kind of forgot how to talk to people.
Oh my gosh, I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I was
so
behind the computer.
that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this, so that I could learn how to have conversations with people again and really talk to people outside of crazy numbers.
hmm Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially working from home too. Like you lose a sense of communication because you're just not in an office surrounded by people all the time. So I feel
Exactly.
you there. I understand.
Yes, completely. So I think I remember it was right before COVID. I think
hmm
it was maybe 2019. And here in our market, we have a thing that's called Thankful Thursday.
hmm
And realtors all get together, and there's like a local bar and grill. Everybody gets together and has a drink and some snacks, like first Thursday of the month. So I remember running into you, and I was like, I've seen her on Facebook. She's so cool. And then I talked to you, and I was like, yep, I'm going to hire that lady. She's
Oh,
awesome.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I think I've told Blake this story, but I was with a previous company and they hired me with pretty much no mortgage lending experience. So I felt a little indebted to them, like, oh, they gave me a chance. They worked with me. But I saw you and Blake, you guys were at some kind of like family event. And me and my husband used to go to Santo Cody. Like every weekend, we would go on Fridays normally. And I saw you and I was like, that's the only person I would leave my current employment for. Like, I've heard so many good things about her. She is a girl boss. She's awesome. And
Well, thank
then,
you.
yeah, I think it was like maybe 2 years later, I jumped on board. So,
Yeah. That's really neat too, because that's a real testimony to the power of manifesting your future.
yeah.
You know, because I've thought about it sometimes, and I'm like, really, sometimes you'll just get a crazy thought in your head, and you'll be like, wow, maybe that could work in the future. And sometimes it seems like the more you think about something and the more you envision it, that ends up becoming a reality. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's been awesome. You are one of the, your personality is so positive and nice, which
Mhm.
is such a clash, I think, sometimes, because we deal with so much stress and frustration in our
Mhm.
jobs. And I
Mhm.
think that you're like a calm and peaceful anchor to your customers, like
Yeah.
through the process.
I
So,
really,
how do you deal with that?
I just feel very much like I try and treat people how I would want to be treated. And if anybody came at me and was extremely direct, or I don't necessarily like take offense to that, I just don't handle it well. So I try and come in with just a cool, calm, collected point of view. Like, we're going to get through this. And I think that I try and tell everybody that we're on a team. You know, me, the customer, the title company, the realtor, we are this big package together team. And then that's, you want to be a good person on that team. Growing up in sports too, I played volleyball, basketball when I was really young, softball. I think it just kind of came from that mentality
Mm-hmm.
too. Just,
Yeah, you're so right. And Blake and I have actually talked about this, because I think that is one of the things that you and I have in common is we're competitive, like with
Mhm.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
in
very.
your case, you actually have athletic ability. I do not.
Maybe not so much anymore.
So, had I started off in childhood, in softball and basketball, that might have really crushed my hopes and dreams. So, but I think that that's a great point, because what we do is so much about a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm a producing branch manager, but I rely heavily on every single one of my staff to get everything accomplished. The same
Oh yeah.
thing with the real estate agents, the appraisers, the title companies, and the insurance agents. You've got
Mm-hmm.
to have that teamwork mentality to kind of get things to that closing table so everybody's not freaking out. You're hitting that time frame.
Yeah.
Now, I do know um, you are the type of person also that just because you're, presenting this um, to your customers, you're taking care of everything. But I see
Mm-hmm.
things behind the scenes, and I know you really do stress about stuff.
Oh
Like it,
yeah. Sure.
it bothers you big time.
Big
Um,
time.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If I just feel responsible, even if it's something completely out of my control, like an appraisal or rates going up or something that
Yeah.
we have zero control over, but
Mm-hmm.
it's always going back to, oh, could I have done something differently
Right.
to make this result in a different way? And sometimes the answer's no,
Yeah.
and you just have to deal with it. But
You're right.
I think what a lot of people don't understand about buying a house and even a refinance, how many people are involved with the process. Like, you may only recognize my name and your realtor's name, but just like you were mentioning, like, we have a team of people just at Cente that touch your file, go into it, give approvals, negotiate. Just at Cente, maybe
Mhm.
7 different people, 8 different people touch your loan.
Yeah.
And that's not including any third-party services or anything like that.
Right.
So,
I would say one transaction easily has 20 different people
yeah.
that will touch your transaction, your file at any point. And that's
Mhm.
another thing, is when we're heading up and kind of being the connecting ports for these transactions and getting all the moving parts rolling. It's nice to work with people that know, I'm going to connect you with other professionals in this
Mhm.
industry that are going to take care of you also. Because I
Yes.
get really nervous, sometimes if I have an out of area deal and it's
Mhm.
a title agent that I've never closed a deal with. I like to
Mhm.
always call them first and sort of talk, just
Mhm.
because working with the same people consistently that you trust and that we do that for a reason, not
Oh,
because it does make our lives as lenders easier, but it's also going to be a better experience for you as that customer. And that's the same thing
mhm.
with your insurance agent.
Mhm.
So many aspects of that. So it does really boil down to working with professionals that know how to communicate and realize where they uh, add value to being part of that team.
Mhm.
So, Kenzie, I know you and I are big animal lovers.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You can probably hear my girls in the background.
So, I was talking to Samantha last week about some farm animals, and I know you have dogs. I have dogs. We're huge dog people, and I started
Mhm.
thinking about a few years ago. You and I really got on this app,
Yeah.
the My Talking Pet app.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, if you guys out there have never played around with it, it's called My Talking Pet, and it's the best like $5 you will ever spend.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I need to get that back out and do some more with Moxie. I did a few with Winnie, but
yeah, so all of the songs and voices that you give your pet, like maybe in your head or inside the four walls of your home, can actually come to life with this
yeah,
app.
yeah. It's really crazy. I mean, it's almost like AI for your pet that makes them look like they're really talking.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my dogs really do have the capacity to understand language.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Even behind all the fur, you can see their mind working And
You can.
I have doodles, and sometimes with Moxie, it's hard to even see her eyes. She has so much fur. But you can tell what they're thinking, and they will just cut their eyes at you and be like, Mom, are you serious? Like, did you really just do that? Don't put that bow in my hair. That kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, they're literally like, and we have a Boykin Spaniel, one of our dogs. And so he's got really, his eyes look very human. And then he's
Mm-hmm.
got these ears. So sometimes he'll be looking at you and he just looks like a dude with a big bowl cut. Like, he's so human like,
Yeah.
and I know he can understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but now my husband, he thinks that that's absolutely insane.
Oh, no. No, no. They know. They know
They do know.
exactly.
They know 100%.
I can tell Moxie, like at nighttime, oh, in the morning, we're going to go to the park and play ball. And in the morning, she's like, normally she's geared up for food. She's like, no, no, let's go play ball. It's time to go play ball. No food. She loves it.
So now you tell everybody about your husband because he is actually, he was born in Sweden, right?
Yes. So he was born in Sweden. His name's Johan. He lived there for 2 months. No, I'm sorry, 2 years. His sister lived there for 2 months. And then they relocated to Dallas, Texas, where his parents still live, and just kind of grew up there. He did not speak English when he first came over here because they are a Swedish household. So they spoke Swedish at home. And he always tells a story about how he was dropped off at school for the first time. And his mom's like, oh, you just have to go like for 5 days, like 5 days, that's it. And he doesn't know what anybody's saying. He doesn't speak the language. And on the 5th day, he was like, he got to Friday and was like, I never have to go back there again. This is amazing. And she was like, oh no, we're going back next week. Like, you just get a 2-day break, but you're going back. So it was, I'm sure, a very challenging experience moving here, not
Yeah.
speaking the language.
Does he
His
still
parents
speak
a
Swedish?
little. He can understand it, but not speak it, which is so weird to me. So weird.
Yeah. And I mean, Johan is the first person that I've ever met who was a true Swede. Because I haven't
100.
met many people, and like just hearing the language spoken on TV, it does not seem like an easy language to learn.
Yeah. I have been married to him and known his parents for probably 12 years now and still don't know anything. So I have picked up nothing. Even
So does
being
their alphabet look like the English alphabet? Because Russian kind of looks, it's a different, like some of their letters are shaped a little bit different. Is that kind of how Swedish is too?
Yeah, I would not say it looks like our language at all, but yeah, I would not say that.
Yeah,
Probably
you know,
similar to
like
Russia.
Spanish, you can
Yeah.
kind of read that, and if you've had
Mm-hmm.
any Spanish in high school, some of the words, there's kind of a system to it. So once you learn that, you can sort of pick up a few things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know about any of the European languages,
So
like
his
Swedish.
aunt does a blog, which we look at where we can't really read anything, but she takes photos of animals. So that's really the only time I have ever seen anything written out, because his parents, like when they send us a birthday card, it's all in English. They know.
Yeah.
But his
So
aunt,
if you ever meet Johan's aunt, you'll just be communicating with like pictures of animals.
oh, she can speak.
Oh.
She can speak English, and she does. They come up every Christmas. It's actually really cool. I think this year may be the first one where they don't come, but they want to come a little bit more in springtime, where it's, and she can go take more photos of birds and things like that. So
Yeah, and you definitely don't want. I mean, I think the summer months would freak them out so bad. They were like, "Have I arrived in hell?"
Yeah. Yes, you have. It's been over 100 degrees here for, I don't even know how many days. It's been insane. I think we had 2 days last week where it was like 95, and that was a cold front that
Yep.
came through.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think it's going to be like 112 today or something like that. Crazy. Crazy, crazy.
Yes. I've been looking at it too. I think all week we're supposed to be over the 100-degree mark, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're big into astrology and stuff, right? Does that
Like
play
astronomy. Mm-hmm.
astronomy? Okay.
Yeah.
So does that have anything to do with the weather or not really?
Yes. I
Yeah.
think it does because like solar flares.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know that solar flares, which is, whenever you have like a storm on the surface of the sun and it throws out intense amounts of radiation, I
Mm-hmm.
know that can definitely have an impact on our weather and our communication systems.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because the solar wind can like mess up the cell phone towers.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know all
Mm-hmm.
of that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But now, other than that, I don't know.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
rest of it is so far beyond my understanding.
Yeah. My nephew, he is going to college now to work with storms. He's a big time like tornado chaser. Yeah. I'll get a text message from him every once in a while and he'll be like, "Are you at home? Go home right now." Like Frisco area is getting extremely bad weather. But
Well, so if he is ever up in my area,
mm-hmm.
I want to do a ride along.
Okay. I mean, he lives there, so he lives
Oh,
in
yes.
Cal.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my bucket list. Ever since I saw that movie Twister, like in
Mm-hmm.
the
They're coming
90s.
out with another one.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Just made my
Nice.
day. I
Yeah.
mean, I love that movie. It was
Yeah.
awesome. So, yeah, that's on my bucket list. I'd like to see a tornado in the daylight.
Yeah. He
Last year we had
goes,
one here and it was pretty rough, but it was at night.
yeah. He goes with, I think his name is Zach. He's like a big time storm chase follower, tornado chaser
Mm-hmm.
in Central Arkansas. So
Yeah.
he rides along with him. He started doing that about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he
Now, I
thinks,
mean, I think I want to see one in person in the daylight, but having said that, I don't want it to ever be a situation where it's damaging people's property or people are getting injured,
yeah,
because we've all seen way, way too many
devastation.
trails of damage from tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, like, we deal with a lot of people that are moving into this area because of the Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had customers call me and they're like, "What is wrong with Arkansas? We had no idea that we needed to watch out for these tornadoes."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had so many close calls. I mean, I can even remember growing up, we went to our neighbor's house before we got a storm shelter. I was probably like 7, 8 years old. And it's a core memory for me, just being terrified, getting in the bathroom, trying to put a mattress like over the bathroom door.
Yeah.
Just stuff.
Yeah, because you have to think, I mean, I'm at least 10 years older than you, but when we were kids, we didn't have the storm alerts
Mm-mm.
like you do now. So,
No.
yeah, if you grew up in Tornado Alley,
Mm-hmm.
the 90s or anytime before that, one of your strongest memories is probably getting up in the middle of the night to go to the storm shelter.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have one either, but our neighbors did.
Yeah.
So it was like a quarter of a mile drive in the middle of the night. So I
Yeah.
knew if I went to bed and it was storming to put my shoes by the bed.
Mm-hmm. You have to wear appropriate pajamas.
Yeah.
Have
Yes.
the shoes next to the bed, next to the door, get all the dog stuff ready, get water
Exactly.
bottles. Yeah.
Yeah, because you
Snacks.
got to go, and
Yeah.
then at that point, you're just waiting on your dad's judgment because dad's going to be standing there watching the weather all night, and if it gets bad enough, the
Yeah.
neighbors will call and say, "Come over now."
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And now we just get an alert on our phone like, "Hey, wake up. It's time to take shelter." It's crazy.
Right. And sometimes it's like, I didn't even know that we were supposed to have bad weather.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm like, thanks for the heads up, KATV.
Yes. Yeah.
So what is one of the best things that you enjoy about your job?
My most favorite thing that I enjoy is really just helping people get into a house that they love. Some of my favorite customers are first time home buyers or people who are building their dream home because they are so excited. I almost feel like people building their dream home are even less excited than first time home buyers because
I
they're just
agree.
like, oh my gosh, I'm finally achieving this goal. And if you think about it, you have all of this, just inside and movies, TV, everything. It's just kind of like ingrained into you that that's part of the American dream is owning a home, having something to pass down to family and just getting to be involved in that process and helping people understand too things that go on. Like even after closing, I tell people, keep my number, save my name as Kenzie Sente. And if anything ever pops up, just give me a call. And
Yeah.
typically like 6 months to a year later, I'll always hear from them just because they have a question about
Mhm.
something payment related or, oh my gosh, I got this letter in the mail. What does this mean? So I think just being able to help people through that process and just to see how excited they are
Yeah.
that they got into a house. It's really awesome.
It's very rewarding. I'll agree with you on that. And would you agree? I've seen this over several years, that owning your first home and building that equity, most of the time is the first crucial step to individuals building wealth.
Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you how often that's really the only source of wealth that somebody has. If you have either a young person, a middle aged person who hasn't started a retirement account, but they own a home and that home has grown in equity, $150,000, sometimes that will help sustain them, once retirement comes. And
That's
it's
right.
really, really important to have something set aside whenever you are ready to retire.
Mhm.
And tell everybody that.
And historically, real estate has the best return of
Mm-hmm.
any other investment. And
Mm-hmm.
even now, I think what people are struggling with is because cost is up and so are rates.
Mm-hmm.
So people are having to scale down, the home that they were wanting.
Mm-hmm.
But I've even told and ran the numbers for a lot of my first time home buyers. And if they can find a property in their price range, it may take a while, but we will see them through. We will be here and wait until they find that home
Right.
because they're still better off to go ahead and buy something, build equity, rather than just putting your rent into something that's never going to come back to you.
Right. Even if, so you find something now and let's say rates fall in the next few years, you can always refinance, get that payment lower. But the biggest thing about that is it's a fixed payment. You know what it's going to be. Now, taxes and insurance, that can always change a little bit. That's going to be with everything. But your mortgage part of the payment is fixed and it can only go lower if you refinance versus rent where you may sign a 6-month lease and then after that 6 months it goes up $300 a month just because the market has shifted. So I think that's the biggest thing is even if you think renting may be best right off the bat because the payment's a little bit lower, that payment's going to go up and it goes
Absolutely.
up almost every time you your
Yeah.
lease in most cases.
And you do have fees, that with little stuff that pops up still with renting.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll charge you a garage fee,
Yeah.
or you'll have different things that you have to pay for every year just to have a cat, or
Mm-hmm. Oh,
your
yeah.
electricity is going to continue to increase. So even if you have a fixed amount as a tenant, because utility costs are going up across the board, you will
Oh,
still
yeah.
increase.
Right.
So the other great thing about going ahead and purchasing a house is that, you can sell it. So let's
Mhm.
say, after 3 years, you've paid down your loan, and plus
Mhm.
your property should have some appreciation value on it. So
Right.
you could sell it for a higher amount, and plus your mortgage balance should be less. So you're
Right.
building that equity in multiple ways, and that's just going to be a chunk of change that you can put
Yeah.
in another property.
What's the average on appreciation? Isn't it like typically 3% a
Mm-hmm.
year? And
It
then
is.
for the past few years, it's skyrocketed.
It
But
has. So this area in particular, we for a 2-year average was over 10%
Mhm.
in the appreciation increase. That is not typical, and I think that
Mhm.
was caused by a lot of the low rates and
Right.
everybody buying houses or building. So, but yes, it is typically around 3%.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really noticed any values downturning. I
No,
haven't seen
haven't
anything
either.
go
And
less in
that's
value.
something that appraisals have been very solid and stable as far as the values. We're not
Right.
seeing, I mean, we will have every once in a while something that maybe was listed a little bit on the high side and,
Right.
we're short just a tad. But
Right.
by and large, we're not having any issues on appraised values. Um, and so that's kind of the difference between where we are now versus where we were during the 2008 financial crisis. Um,
Right.
because during that period, you had a ton of adjustable rate mortgages that had been originated the 24 months prior to.
Mhm.
Suddenly, everyone's payment increased, causing a trigger of defaulted mortgages. People can't make their payments. But the biggest issue was no one had equity because they did 100% financing on all of these, subprime loans.
Right.
So people couldn't even afford to sell their houses. So they literally just walked away.
Mhm.
Now, even though cost is increasing and it has definitely affected people's affordability, they still have equity and their value is still there,
Mhm.
which is great because ultimately you can still sell, get your money back plus some.
Mhm. Yeah, I have really seen it, and especially like our market is Arkansas. And I feel like we are central enough to where we don't see the massive swings in like New York and California, where,
Yeah.
yeah, in Arkansas, people were paying a little bit over asking price in 2021, some of 2022. But even in Texas, I've heard of one customer paying over $100,000 more than what the house was worth
Mm-hmm.
just to get under contract.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw anything like that in
No.
Arkansas. So we're just in the middle of, we're not near as affected with some of those type of policies as people in California, these really
Yes.
big cities where home values just, completely skyrocketed,
You're
which to
exactly
me
right
feels
because
safe. It feels
right.
safer to me.
Exactly. So you may not have that sharp increase in value. Like your
Mhm.
property may not skyrocket 50% in value over 2 years. However, you're not going to have a skyrocketing or a huge slump.
Mhm.
So if the market does turn, you don't have as much to fall.
Mhm.
hmm And you're right. I was hearing maybe the Austin, Texas market was really
Mhm.
insane. I heard from a colleague in that area that you're exactly right. People were having to be prepared with like six figures to pay over asking price on properties that were already listed close to 1 million,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is mind boggling.
Yes. Yeah. Just I wonder where people come up with all of that cash too. We've
Well,
been
I
doing
think
this.
most of those people were selling in California.
Yeah, that's true.
They were selling while those values were high, and I think a lot of it was equity. But yes, that is a lot. That's a
Mhm.
ton. We've never
Oh,
seen that in this market, but we
mhm.
did see maybe 10,000, 15,000 over asking.
Yeah, I think most of mine was below 10,000
Mm-hmm.
over. And
Yeah.
that was just those crazy times.
Mm-hmm.
And now things have really settled down so much to where that competition is not out there.
Right.
And you're not having to pay over asking. So even though the rates are higher, just you're not going against 10 other offers to try and get a property. So that's
Exactly.
something that I've really tried to tell my customers right now, especially if they're on the fence with moving forward. Just like, well, if we wait until rates come down, we're going to have, much more competition at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then you may not be able to get your closing costs paid like you can probably do right now. You may have to come in, possibly over asking again. Who knows what the market's going to look like in the next few years?
Yep.
Everything is so, we're being guided, and that's all we can really do is follow estimated information. But we've never really seen anything like this before. So
Right.
I'm curious to see how much of a better place we're looking like in the next few years with our.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to have somebody like you in your corner if you're going through the process, particularly as a first-time home buyer, because you're not going to know what to compare this to, what's normal. So having somebody who's been through a series of different markets, different real estate markets, and some of the shifts can really help you to understand what's happening and what to look for. So.
Mm-hmm. So I
Okay,
came.
well, one last thing here that I wanted to ask you, Kenzie, is what's something just not mortgage related that's kind of an unusual thing that no one would guess, or maybe a talent or a skill that you have?
That's not mortgage related. I feel like that's my whole world sometimes.
Same.
But I would say one thing, Pilates. I try to go like 4 or 5 times a week, and that has been my saving grace. When I was much younger, I hurt my back really, really badly. Funny, while I was working out, and been trying to kind of correct that for the past 7 years, and I finally found something that has worked. So I typically, if you can't get a hold of me, I'm in a Pilates class somewhere. So that's probably one thing.
You go, girl. I
Yeah,
don't even know that I could.
it's
I don't even
really
know where I would
difficult.
start with that.
It is really, really difficult, but it's totally worth it. And everything looks so easy, and it is just not at all. But yeah, I would say that. What about you? What's something fun about you?
Well, I think I'm turning into a crazy plant lady. So the old ladies
Oh,
that have all of the plants, like I can't stop buying plants.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I am actually looking to build a small greenhouse so that I can
Oh,
overwinter my plants because
yeah.
now I'm like, oh my gosh, winter's coming and I'm gonna have to dig some of these up so that they don't die.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've gotten really into horticulture.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. You
So
can
you
grow
have to
a
have those
lot
kind
of
of things
herbs.
to keep you balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There has to be some type of hobby or something that you find enjoyment with where it's just for you, for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we do have, and when it gets super crazy, I feel like at the end of the day, my brain just needs to do something in off mode.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
well, Kenzie, it has been really awesome having you on here today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you
And
for
we'll get
having me.
together and chat soon. Excuse me. We'll get together and have another conversation soon. But thanks for joining us. We'll
Yeah,
talk to you
of
later.
course. Thank you for having me. Bye.
All right. Bye.